Let's talk about Zimbabwe people first. What led to you deciding to go this route, forming yet another political party on the Zimbabwean landscape, which some would say is already crowded?
We are a people that fought the struggle for the liberation of the country. And a lot of people saw a lot of things not being fulfilled. Hence, it's not just Zimbabwe people first. You saw quite a lot of parties broke away, started new, parties and so forth. And whilst we were still in ZANU-PF, we thought, oh, these people, they are just sellouts. Not knowing that they were the first ones to see what was going wrong. So the very same thing happened when we left ZANU-PF, freedom fighters, those that really had not been in any political party, decided to come together and try to bring back or bring the train back on rail so that people achieve those things that they fought for.
So what are the values then that you stand for? And what are some of the key priority programs that you think would take Zimbabwe in a different direction from the direction it's going right now?
Our values stem from the liberation struggle. And the liberation struggle was all about the freedom, total freedom of the nation. And that total freedom is no more. And we say to ourselves, we want our dignity back. Because right now, we are the poorest of the poor on the continent. And yet yesterday, we were the breadbasket. What has gone wrong? We are now beggars in all that we do. And Zimbabweans are not for that life. So we say to ourselves, our values have to come back. And we have to do right those things that we were yearning for, even before the struggle. And those things that made us leave our parents, that made us lose our economy, our property, our wealth, by cooking for freedom fighters, by losing our children who were now helping and abating freedom fighters. We have to make sure that those things are brought back in totality.
Just help me understand your understanding of the situation in Zimbabwe. Just recently there was a trend on social media, on Twitter, that said #how they robbed us. I don't know if you saw that.
In Zimbabwe, there's a lot that is happening.
Yes.
A lot that is happening. And people just think of coming up with something that will satisfy the expectations of the people. So I'm sure you have heard about #flag, #beat the port, and I'm sure you have heard about...
It's fine if you've not seen it. The reason I was asking is that it was a touching topic that Zimbabweans in various parts of the world started a conversation about the things that they've had to adjust to as a result of the protracted political, economic, and even social crisis that has played itself out for more than a decade now, almost 2 decades, and possibly even longer of a decline. What is your assessment of the state of Zimbabwe currently? I mean, as we talked just recently, the new bond notes were issued. There was a lot of resistance, but government forged ahead, and we are already seeing signs that it won't end well with this bond notes.
That's where the difference is with people first. Because if they were for the people, they would have actually taken a step back. But they did not. And for those
people... They being ZANU-PF?
They being ZANU-PF government, and ZANU-PF as a party. Because if they are Democrats, why are they not practicing it? People have said something, people have voiced, so they should, take time and listen and practice what people are expecting them to do. Yes, I know it's not everything that people say that will go, but just to take time, reason with them, hold discussions, so you come to some agreement. But that never happened. And that's why these people have been able to come out. Unfortunately, I did not follow that one. I missed it. But to tell you the truth, there's a lot that has gone on in Zimbabwe, and people feel robbed of what was theirs and theirs in total. And I support them. Because if you are reminded of things that have not gone well, and you continue repeating the same thing, because with this bond note, it's not the first time It happened with the, Zim dollar, and it was hell.
It went all the way to about $100 trillion.
We're told quintillions, and to try and read the notes. At one point, Gono wouldn't write them on one single paper, paper money. He had to cut those zeros in order to bring them to a lower figure. You can imagine.
I remember that time.
Yes, playing
I was in
around
Zimbabwe
with people's wealthy, which they will have worked for ages, and overnight they lose them. You can imagine with
this leads me then to the next question
yes.
of you talking about if they were Democrats and listened to the people now with the bond notes.
Yeah.
A lot of people will say when those monies were being printed by Gono, you were in government, and you've answered this question before. Answer it again for me, ma'am, please. Why now? What took you so long?
You know what? When you are a vice president and you have no executive powers, these things lie with the head of state. And some of those things were between the president and the governor of the Reserve Bank. And for them to do that again, when they saw the agony which people of Zimbabwe went through, and that we've never recovered from that agony. And that's what led us to getting a multi-currency system in the country. Surely, if it were me, I wouldn't have gone back again to that. I should have gone back to the drawing board and ask advisors. And for that effect, Zimbabweans are the most educated people. And I don't think that resource would not have told us or advised us as to what it is we should do to correct our economy. But I don't think for Mugabe, he'll be ready to receive that.
But I guess beyond just asking about the issue of the currency of Zimbabwe, I'm asking you about people who will say you were part of the system that led to the demise of Zimbabwe across various sectors, the economy being one of them, but also infrastructure dilapidated. Lots of Zimbabweans out in the diaspora are not able to go back, political persecution of people, and these elections that were contested and political violence. Why should they trust you now?
I'm not running away from that. I was in there by association, maybe by coercing myself into doing such things. But if you have realized that this is wrong, and within that time, there were also other things that I was trying to do in order to show that mine was not to go all the way to cause, those painful, times to the ordinary people. There were programs that I started, which programs were frantically destroyed by the government and the party. And I'm sure to me, it would have happened the Magufuli way or the Deng Xiaoping way. And this is why in 2013, 9 out of 10 provinces had voted the way they wanted things to go. And this was the origin of my being, labeled a liberal, because all the time, the corridors were hissing and whispering about Mami Mujuru being a liberal. Why is it that she is not harsh with the opposition parties? Why is it that when we are saying things, she asks why and where and how are we going to look at, the ordinary masses? Those questions were coming from me, but they weren't public questions that everybody else would have singled me out then. But now they should see that for sure those things were happening.